So we got a bunch of questions, but I wanted to go with right off the bat and ask you, why is commercial auto insurance so expensive, or is it? We get that question a lot. A lot of new courier startups are kind of whining about it, and I'd like to know from your perspective, why is it so expensive, or is that just kind of an illusion?
Yeah, great question, right? We hear the same thing. And I can tell you that even in the last couple of days, and it probably ties back to working with you guys and doing a little more with MCC. We've had some outreach from some folks that are looking for commercial insurance for their medical courier operation. So I always say, like, the blessing and the curse of the courier or final mile space is usually that the barrier of entry is just, I have a vehicle, right? So it's very easy to get into it, which is great. I think that the jump, to your point about getting into commercial insurance and maybe having the right insurance or the right protection to protect your business and your assets, but also to protect your customers, it can be a big jump. And it is a number that has done nothing but grow over the last 15 years, right? So I was talking to somebody the other day, we were reminiscing about the good old days of insurance. And I can go back to the mid 2000s when commercial auto insurance for a vehicle for liability only was probably $3,000 a year.
Wow.
Right. Which is, we hear that number now and it's dirt cheap, because now the number has become $6,000 to $8,000 to $10,000, depending on where you are. And the reality is that I can sit here and say, because I live and breathe it every day in the insurance space, like, those numbers are not crazy, high, but I understand that when you're coming from a personal auto policy where you spend $500 a year or $1,000 a year, that's a really big number. And right. I think the big reason, there's a lot of reasons for it, right? But if you take just into account what the exposure is from a personal auto policy basis to a commercial auto policy, that has a lot to do with it, right? Personal auto policy, take myself, for instance, I get to work from home. Where do I drive, right? I drive to the gym. I drive to run some errands. I take the kids places. I don't really drive a whole lot. Yep. Versus I'm a courier, medical courier. I'm doing deliveries all day long. I'm on the road all day long. I'm in traffic all day long. I might be in major metropolitan areas, right? There is just more exposure being on the road, more driving more every single day. So right. That's the starting point you're at right now. In the last 15 years, the commercial auto line of coverage, the liability line of coverage, across all transportation industry verticals, right? So you're talking delivery, you're talking trucking, you're talking distribution, you're talking anybody that's got wheels-based pieces to their business, has done nothing but lose the insurance industry money. So for every dollar of premium that's come in, the insurance space has lost $1.10. And this is going on now for more than a decade. And so what the insurers are doing are attempting to, every year they raise the rate a little bit more to try to get more premium in the mix in order to take care of the losses that are coming. At the same time, this cycle occurs because the way that claims work, especially larger ones, or they don't usually settle very quickly, right? So you and I get into an accident, it's a minor fender bender, it's probably a fairly quick deal, right? God forbid there was some serious bodily injury or fatality involved. All of a sudden that gets into the legal world, and now those things are going to drag on 1 or 2 years. So what was happening, and is still kind of happening with some of the insurers, is they have to judge once the accident occurs and the claim is submitted, hey, what do we think this is going to end up costing us? And there's a mechanism, and legally they have to do some things in the background with reserving money, setting aside money to pay the claims. Well, the more they have to reserve legally, it hurts their balance sheet. So they don't want to come out of the gate and say, you know what, Brian, you hit Ken and killed somebody. It's going to cost us $1 million. They're going to say, hey, it's, maybe $300,000 to $500,000, which sounds great. But the reality is when that goes through the whole legal process over the last few years, it really ends up being $1 million. And in some cases, we see things, and it's so frustrating for us too. And I know that the medical courier community is frustrated. You have a little fender bender, a little rear end accident, and you say, that's silly, this guy's not even hurt. And all of a sudden it's a $50,000 claim because they hurt their neck, or they claim they hurt their neck, and they have a doctor that's supporting that, right?
Yeah.
So those are the things that drive up all the costs further and further and further, especially on the liability side. And then on top of that, the compounding problem is technology in the vehicles, and the cost to build vehicles and repair them has all gone as well.
Great.
So those pieces, look, the physical damage side, the collision stuff, that in the last 4 or 5 years, really since COVID, has just skyrocketed as well. So you got all those things in play.
Interesting. So one of my last questions was going to be, what's the number one misconception about the insurance industry that you'd change if you could? And I think you already answered the question. The perception out there is that the insurance industry is making billions of dollars and they're not paying claims and everybody's left in the lurch. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's it, right? This sounds crazy, right? We like to pay claims. We want to pay claims. That's what we're here for, right? And what I always say to folks is, it's not about, when the claim happens, the first question I get is not how much does it cost, right? The question is it covered? So I think there's a big, our stance on it is, we want you to know what is covered and what isn't. And we're going to give you those options at the start, right? It's not my business. I'm going to tell you, if you ask me what should I do, I will give you the professionally speaking, here are the coverage I think are very important based on what you tell me you do every day. But ultimately, you're running your business. If you can only afford or only want to do certain coverages, that's fine. I'm not going to stop you. I just want you to know what's out there that might sting you or might not be covered, right? And I think that's the case, that most people, like, we just take the money, we never pay the claims. I would tell you, half of my job, half of my inbox on a daily basis is involvement with claims. So the claims are definitely happening. I'm happy when people say, I've never had a claim in a decade. No, great. Keep the streak up, right? Keep doing what you're doing. I hope you never have one, but unfortunately, they all occur.